as of recording this intro, the Mario movie is set to release April 4th, 2026. I am apprehensive about it. The first one wasn't great, but the second one has Rosalina in it, and she is so iconic. She's so pretty. I've loved her ever since I first saw her in Mario Galaxy, and this scene, iconic. So I want to make my own version of Rosalina, but I can't just make her normal dress. It needs to be extra. It needs to be maximalist. It needs to be everything. I already tried to make this dress once, and I was just upcycling like an old nightgown that I got at an antique store, and it is, I mean, like, I think it's passable. It's comfortable, I guess, but it's pretty ugly. It's not great. So I'm going to redo it, and it's going to have the swoosh, the drama, everything. It's going to be perfect. All that being said, let's just get into it, and we'll get straight into the concept art that I created for this dress. Rosalina wears this long empire-waisted dress that I think is supposed to be reminiscent of a nightgown, but I wanted it to feel more like something a princess would wear. So going off of her design in Super Smash Bros., I'm adding a bunch of extra trim and beadwork to the dress to give it that more opulent royal feel. For my first mock-up, I drew out what I thought the pattern should look like, and this was where the process immediately fell apart. I am not a professional, so instead of using a pattern, I thought I could make one from reference photos. This does not have the desired effects, as we will see. So, I got the mock-up kind of fixed up. I made it one piece instead of two so that there wouldn't be a seam in the front. But the unfortunate part of doing this without a pattern is that I don't know what I'm doing. So we have this side piece that goes with this very small back piece. We have an elongated strap here, and I added a piece here. I'm hoping that, like, see, it's going pretty off shoulder, but I still needed somewhere to put the sleeve. So I thought that maybe putting this right here would work. And then of course you have this. I'm gonna add a zipper in the back for easy access to get on and off. I think the next step that I'm going to do for this mock-up is to make the sleeve so that I can see how it attaches. And then we can go from there. This is why I like to do mock-ups, because then I can just brute force my way through it with very little finesse, and then by the end I will have a finished product that is actually good. But the mock-up's gonna suck until then. After agonizing over the bodice mock-up, I threw myself a bone and drew out the sleeve pattern by creating a trapezoid that I folded over to get an even shape on both sides. Then I cut and stitched that down to the upper sleeve. Here is the mock-up of the sleeve. We got this nice bell going on. The way I did this is that this is about 10 inches to fit around my arm, and then this part is just like a trapezoid, with the bottom part of the trapezoid being twice, if not a little bit bigger than this that wraps around my arm. And I also gave it this kind of cinched here instead of just being one full bell sleeve, because I just think this is very regal and princessy, and I just think it looks way better. And this is just the mock-up. So we're gonna put it on. We're gonna put it on and we'll see how this fits. And then once that's happened, we will fix the back. Hey, this is Editing Joe here to say that I did not do any of that, actually. What I instead did was tortured myself for a week straight, which you will see briefly, but I did not end up fixing that mock-up. Instead, I did something much worse. Mock-up number 2. Mock-up number 3. New plan. Plagiarism. So, my grandmother has this off-the-shoulder shirt with a different collar, but it's off the shoulder, just like Rosalina's. And so, taking this shirt, I will just be putting the measurements, my own measurements, in place of this thing. This is a front and a back with very simple sleeves, 2 pieces. There's so many ways that I could mess this up, but I'm not going to. And then I will add the 1 mock-up sleeve that I have, and once that is done, we will all be happy, we will all be healthy, we'll all be moving on with our damn lives from these mock-up. Mock-up number 4. Mock-up number 5. Final mock-up. What I did was, plagiarism works. I took the pattern, made the front piece, made the back piece, attached the sleeves, and then what I did was I made a channel, and then I put elastic through the channel so that it could kind of mold to my shoulders. For the final dress, I will probably make the elastic a little bit shorter, but final mock-up complete. Other thing, I'll make the empire waist a little bit shorter up here so it's more up and less down because it's an empire waist. So now all we need to do is start on the actual dress. So let's get into that.
For the sleeves, I cut it out of the aqua fabric that I would be using and overlaid it with some pale yellow tulle to dilute the shininess, then slowly beaded the sleeves with a line of straight silver beads topped with a clear circular bead. I thought this created a very detailed regal look without it being too complicated.
It's been about 3 hours, and we are halfway done with the first sleeve. A lot of it is crooked because beading sucks. I don't think it looks that bad though. It's got that wabi-sabi, you know? So now I will see you guys in another 3 hours with a finished result.
Alright, the sleeve has been fully beaded, and I have put it on top of the fabric that I'm going to use for the lining, which is just some like silvery blue fabric that I got from an antique store for like $5. So I'm going to cut it out and line the sleeves, and I'm going to line the skirt and the bodice, so everything's going to be lined in this fabric. I know the color kind of doesn't match at all, but you won't be able to see it, and even with the sleeve, which you might be able to see a little bit, I feel like all of the everything is going to distract you from the color, so we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I think it'll be fine.
To create the white trim that the original sleeves have, I took a sheer white organza and cut a strip twice the length of the sleeve opening and sewed the extra white lace trim on the ends. Then I ran a long, simple stitch on the edge to pull the trim to create the ruffle look. After that, it was as simple as pinning and sewing into the sleeve, then sewing the sleeve shut.
We got 1 sleeve completed, but you know what's better than 1 sleeve? 2 sleeves. I got both of the sleeves done. The other one was off screen because it was the exact same process as the first one, and I'm so happy with how they turned out. For like a hot second there, I was having like my doubts about this costume, about the whole process of everything. It wasn't really looking how I imagined it, I guess, but honestly, now that their sleeves are done, they're so pretty. And obviously the bodice isn't done, but I wanted to get the sleeves done because I knew that like all of this beadwork was going to take forever, and like it didn't take forever, but it did take like a full day for each sleeve. It's been about a week since I worked on. My camera cut me off. It just died. It straight up died. But it's been about a week between each sleeve. I got the sleeves done. The only thing that I need to do now on the sleeve itself is on the elastic part right here. I want to add this trim so that it's covering up this part, because I think that'll also help the like change between the two. I think it'll look cooler is all I'm saying. So at some point I'm gonna do that. That can be just like a later thing. It's not a priority right now. What I'm gonna do right now is the bodice. So I'm going to need to do the lining, and then I have this like structured lining that I bought. I've never used it before, but I guess we'll find out together how that's going to work. So I have that lining, so I have 2 linings, then the bodice, and then I gotta put the bodice together, and then the sleeves on the bodice, and then the skirt. There's just a lot that we need to do. So let's just start going, because we have a timeline, and we gotta go, and I have school tomorrow.
For the bodice, I do my same trick of laying out the mock-up pattern and tracing half of it, then folding it over the middle to make sure that the pattern pieces are even. Then I get way too confused with the lining instructions, but manage to figure out that I need to iron it onto the back of my pattern piece to create the stiffness that I'm wanting.
The lining that I put on this fabric has made it 1,000,000 times better to work with. It is no longer slippery and fraying at every point. I can easily fold it and cut it and sew it down. I should have been doing this from the start. What was I thinking? It slaps. The bodice. Oh, these sleeves are so dramatic. I'm so in love. I've always loved a bell sleeve though, so this is glorious for me. But there is some things that I'm not pretty happy with. This needs to probably get cut down a little bit and then hemmed again. The back I think is pretty fine. There's still that kind of weird puckering going on back there, but we'll figure it out. It of course rides up a little bit because there's nothing weighing it down, but when we get the skirt on, it'll weigh down, so we won't have to worry about it. Look at that sparkle. Oh, I'm in love. Oh my god. So next course of action will be working on the skirt. We'll be getting the beading, the embroidery put on. We will then attach the skirt to the bodice, and then any last minute stuff. There's still a lot left, but honestly, I'm pretty happy. Oh, this is so cute. God. Okay, we're gonna get into the skirt now. Let's go.
The skirt is a half circle skirt that I cut the scallop shape out of the front by folding it in half to find the middle and drawing out the shape to keep it even on both sides. I ended up so unhappy with the skirt, but I'll explain more later. Initially, I was going to add a tulle layer to this as well, but
I have never had to trust the process more than in this moment. I am praying that this is correct. It's just so bunched right now.
Hey guys, I like to show my mistakes in this video because I want you to know that I don't know what I'm doing and that you shouldn't look up to me as a professional. I'm just kind of failing upwards. So the tool that I was trying to put on the skirt, not gonna work. It was taking years off of my life and I've decided that I don't care. So instead I hemmed the front panel and now I'm going to add the trim and then we can get into the embroidery, which will be a much nicer process than what I've had to go through so far. You'll never guess what I ran out of.
after pinning and trimming the same lace from the sleeve, I am finally able to mark out where I want the stars to go. I cut out a large and smaller star out of paper to act as a pattern, and using a washable pencil, I gently trace onto the skirt. Then, it's just a matter of stringing the beads 5 at a time and sewing them down along the pattern. I go back in between each bead to secure it down and then do this process for all 30 stars. Anytime I was able to do this, I did. In class, with my partner, during spring break with my cousin, it was a non-stop beading time in my life.
You'll never guess what happened again.
With the skirt fully embroidered and the end finally in sight, I went back to the bodice to make the collar I had been putting off, and I measured the collar circumference, and then...
we continue with the trial and error. So, for the collar, I tried making this, and I hate it so much. For one thing, it doesn't fit. I fucked up. It doesn't fit, because that's the price you pay whenever you trial and error everything about your costume making and you don't use patterns and you've never used patterns. That's a lie. I've used patterns, but you don't use whatever. I fucked up on this, but that's okay, because as I was digging, looking for new fabric to use for the collar, I found this, which is some old fabric that I used for my Jester cosplay. And I like it a lot more because the shininess goes with this shininess, and it's white enough to match this. So when I put on the lace, it'll go. So I'm going to iron this out, and I'm going to use the pattern mock-up, and this will work. This will work. I'm having a great time. I'd like people to know this. I'm having a great time. It's been months.
At this point, it was March and the weather was nice enough to sit outside and sew the trim to the sleeves like I had been neglecting. My dog begged to be pet though, so I took a break to tell him what a good boy he was.
Big ass bonfire, what the hell?
For the accessories, I started with the crown and I traced a pre-made pattern out onto some paper and then onto some old foam that I had. After cutting it out, I contact cemented the edges together. Okay, my camera didn't record. I put air dry foam clay on the inside of the crown, because right now the foam is very squishy and I don't want that. I want it to be a little bit more sturdy, and this air dry foam clay honestly dries pretty damn hard. Like, it's kind of insane how hard it dries, but I'm only putting it on the inside because if I do it on the outside, I'm gonna have to like sand down all of these little crevices and stuff, and I don't want to have to do that. I really don't. I think the inside will be fine. I think that'll be sturdy enough. So I'm gonna let that dry for however long it needs to dry, a day, 2 day, whatever. And then I will spray paint it and then add all of the fun little accoutrements, and we ball. I attached some flat back gems to the tips of the crown and hot glue a strip of twine across the center to give it some dimension. Then, after masking up, I spray paint the whole crown silver. I realized it was missing something, so I glued some star beads to the edges, and after repainting it, I can add these pink and blue brooches that I got from the craft store. The wand was cut from some more foam and hardened with air dry foam clay. Then I spent who knows how long placing individual gold beads along the front and back and glued gold trim to the edges, after which I shoved a bit of wood into the bottom and glued that into the wood dowel that I had spruced up with some wooden beads, wire, and spray paint. For the earrings, it's the exact same process as the wand: foam, clay, beads, trim. The process of sewing is, yeah. So, because I am unhappy with the Rosalina waist, I am going to put a corset on instead. So, using this as my pattern, I'm just gonna half it, so it's only this shape to still get that, like, waistband thing that she has. And so after I take this pattern, I will cut it out of silver, line it with the trim, and we will see how that looks. And I feel like that'll look better, and it won't be as accurate to what she looks like, but sometimes when you're sewing, you just have to pivot. So let's pivot. Okay, with this cut out, I don't have like a boning structured thing for this little corset, so I'm using a pair of old jeans that I cut out into the shape. I have this silver kind of shiny fabric that I'm going to, you know, fold over to get to the shape. I'm going to put this over top of it to kind of dilute the shininess and to match the bodice. And then I will add the same trim that's on the dress to this. So let's get folding and get that done, because I passed my deadline for this video like a week ago. After folding and adding it back into the corset, I marked out and cut holes for where the grommets needed to go. There is a hammer and a peg that you can use to cut out the holes, but I was lazy and didn't want to grab my hammer, so I used scissors to cut out the hole. Then it was just a matter of putting the press into place and squeezing. With the corset done, I got to move on to the wig. I got this long blonde wig with bangs off of Amazon and got to work crimping and teasing the bangs to add volume, then cutting the sides to start the swoops she's got going on. This was mostly in vain though, because I ended up pivoting last minute to a different plan.
Y'all like my wig setup? I wanted to be in my room so I could watch Dimension 20 Cloud Bordeaux while I finished this wig. Hopefully I can get a good chunk done tonight. I have to go to bed early because I have to work tomorrow, but I feel pretty confident in getting a chunk done.
Okay. Initially, I was going to make the Rosalina wig look more or less true to form, but I didn't want to. And I did try. I tried, I really did. I didn't want it to be so drag, so I was trying to make it like a subtler version, but the thing about that hairstyle is it's like all or nothing. You either have to do it exactly, and so it looks like this, or you just can't do it at all. And one of my favorite cosplayers posted her Rosalina, which looks way better than mine, but we're not gonna talk about that, and it looks awesome. So going along that line, I decided to just do whatever I wanted, and I have curly hair, and I don't think that I look good in anything that's not curly hair. So we're gonna try on the wig that I have now curled to hell and back, and hope that it looks good and better than what it did before. So here's the finished wig, my version, and I think the curly hair looks really, really cute. And with the crown, I think it reads as Rosalina just fine, especially whenever I have everything else on. I think it's so cute. And that means with the wig done, the dress done, the accessories done, the last minute corset done, that means that now we can finally get into the reveal. It's done. So with Rosalina finally done, we can get into the pros and cons of the outfit and my overall thoughts on everything. First off, I want to be kind of complimentary and nice towards myself. I did the whole thing a month after my deadline, so my turnaround rate was not what I was wanting, but I do really like the bodice. I do like all of the detail and the trim. I like the overall design. I like what I did with the wig and the crown, the brooch, the wand. I think it's all very sparkly, very well put together, very cute. I hate the skirt. I think the skirt is easily the weakest part of the whole costume, and if I'm being honest with myself, I'm probably going to undo it and make a new one at some later date. Originally, the skirt was supposed to be a 40-inch circle skirt, but I didn't have enough fabric, and so I thought that maybe I could just do a half circle skirt. I don't know why I thought I could do that. Maybe because when I was draping it on myself, it kind of looked like it was enough. And then when I put it all together, it really wasn't. So that's why I ended up making the corset, is because the skirt was so bad around the waist because I didn't have enough skirt, because I didn't use a pattern. So the lesson learned from this is make sure you have enough fabric and make sure you have a pattern that works. I have never made patterns before, so I did a bad job, essentially, is what I'm saying. But that's okay, because we fail forward, we fail upward. I know what to do next time, and I think that my next project, whatever it may be, will turn out better because of this. The beading was really fun, if tedious, to do. I'm really excited to do more beadwork for other things, because it just makes, it really elevates the costume, in my opinion. I think it's so pretty, even if it made me want to die at times. So overall, I think that Rosalina was a success.
I am a month past my deadline, but that means that it's been a month since the Mario movie came out. And let me tell you, the Mario Galaxy 2 movie was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, almost bar none. This movie sucked. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it and you want to watch me fail upwards some more and hopefully take what I've learned and do something better with it next time, you can hit all of the buttons or not. I'm not your mom. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!
Is this fun footage? I just get really, really close to the camera. That was really bright in my eyes. Oh my god, I regret doing that.